I'm just looking at this chocolate here now. If Easter eggs can't satisfy your cravings this week, we've got another sweet treat for you. Joining me now in the kitchen is Kelly Lou Ging making an Easter chocolate fudge tray bake. Good morning
Good
to
morning.
you. Look at it. It's
all
chocolate. It's chocolate heaven here this morning.
Yeah, it really is. So we're making a chocolate tray bake cake. Really nice if you want something for dessert this weekend. It's hitting all your chocolate cravings.
After you've had your Easter eggs,
all Easter eggs,
and you've had your lamb, then you go to
more
your chocolate cake.
Exactly. So to start, I have melted down 250 grams of dark chocolate and 250 grams of butter. So just over a pot of water, I've melted that down. I'm just going to set that aside for a minute.
How long does that take? Because we saw that at 8 o'clock and you had it there. So would it take about 5-10 minutes?
About, yeah, 10 minutes. You want to keep it on a slow heat, and you want to make sure that the water is not touching the bottom of the bowl so that the chocolate doesn't burn. So it's just melting with the steam.
So if the water's touching the bottom, it'll burn?
It can burn your chocolate. So it's just melting with the steam from the water.
Oh, okay, never knew that.
So we'll leave that aside to cool a little bit. In my bowl, I have 200 grams of plain flour and 50 grams of cocoa. I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and half teaspoon of bread soda. And then our sugar, so we're using 250 grams of cast sugar and 250 grams of light brown sugar. And I love using light brown sugar because it gives those lovely kind of caramel tones to it. So we're just going to mix all our dry ingredients together. And this is a really nice recipe. You don't need to have the mixer or anything for it.
I was going to say that looks quite simple then.
It mixes
all going
really
into a big
easy
bowl
together in a big bowl, yeah. I then have 100 mils of buttermilk and 4 eggs. So we're very simply just going to add all our wet ingredients to our dry ingredients. So pop in that. And then coffee. So I have 125 mils of boiling water and a teaspoon of coffee. And what coffee does, it just intensifies the cocoa flavour.
So you're just making a big cup of coffee basically and putting it in?
Big cup of coffee and put it in, yeah. Okay. And you won't get a really strong coffee flavour or anything. Coffee will just intensify that cocoa flavour. And then last but not least, we're going to add in all that lovely melted chocolate.
So it's all the dry ingredients, then all the wet ingredients go in on top of it.
And I mix it all together really simply. And because it's quite a wet mixture, it'll come together really easily.
Right.
So just make sure
And should you spend time folding this now?
You don't want to over-mix it.
Right,
you just want to make sure that you've no kind of pockets of flour, because sometimes, you know, you think it's all mixed in and then you give another stir and suddenly you get like an air pocket and it's full of flour.
Okay.
So just make sure that there's none of that in it. But like that, it doesn't... Like, you could use a mixer to mix this if you wanted, but like, it's so easy.
So is it going to be quite watery then?
It's quite watery when you put it in.
Yeah, so don't be mixing it because you're thinking it needs to get...
thicken or anything like that.
Up.
No. It's kind of a watery mix.
That's what I was looking at going, and go, God, you'd be a while there now before that thickens up.
But you see, it's kind of thickened already as I've been mixing it. So this is going into a tray. Now, you could use a round cake tin if you wanted. You know, you could make it into a layered cake.
Oh, right,
the exact same recipe, perfect. I'm using a 13 by 9 inch tin. And this is actually a really handy sized tin to have. Like, we use this all the time for the likes of brownies or bakewells. It's kind of one of those cake tins you'll use a lot of. The hop is beeping at me. So all in. And that is that. So that's going into your oven, 160 degrees for approximately 40 minutes. So you want
40 minutes?
40 to 50 minutes, yeah.
And how do you know it's done? It's just...
So you want to make sure that there's no, like that's the way it's wobbling.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that there's no wobble, and if you put a skewer into the centre, that the skewer comes out dry, that there's no wet mixture stuck to it at all. So if you stick in a skewer or a tip of a knife or anything, it should come out completely clean, that there's no batter stuck to it.
On it, don't put it back in for another few minutes.
Just leave it in for another few minutes. So while that's in the oven, we're going to make our fudge icing. So I have mixed 225 grams of soft butter and 50 grams of icing sugar. I've just creamed those together, and we're just going to scrape down the side of the bowl.
Yeah.
And then to that, we are adding our chocolate. So I've melted another 300 grams of chocolate. There's no butter in this time, it's just chocolate. And
if you wanted a bit different, could you put that on top of your chocolate cake?
This icing?
Yeah.
This is what's going to go on top.
No, but without the chocolate.
Oh, without chocolate,
you know, just wanted a different colour or a different type of look to the cake.
You could do, like, you could put a vanilla icing on top of it if you wanted. You could do a white chocolate drizzle would be nice as well.
Would you ever mix it up like that?
You can, yeah. I'm using dark chocolate as well, and I know a lot of people prefer milk chocolate, so you could use milk if you wanted. You could use a mix of milk and dark, is a nice balance. I also have some boiling water and cocoa powder just mixed together. That's just going to intensify the chocolate again. And you're just going to mix this together. And this is what gives us that lovely fudgy icing on top of the cake. And you'll see how lovely and shiny and glossy this is.
So obviously this is when it comes out 40 minutes afterwards, is it?
So when your cake is baked, comes out of the oven, allow it to cool in the tin for about 5-10 minutes, and then take it out and put it on a wire tray.
Okay.
So when it comes
you have it
out
there.
of your oven, that's one I made earlier.
Okay.
So I've allowed my cake to completely cool. And then I'm going to get my icing. So this fudge icing, it's a little bit runny at the start, but if you leave this to set for about even 15-20 minutes,
do you put it in the fridge, or do you have to?
No, just room temperature.
You don't
It'll start
put it in
picking
the
it
fridge,
up.
right?
And then this is going to just, we're going to spread this.
Kids would love doing this, wouldn't
Oh
they?
yeah, big time.
Seeing that they're off for Easter now, they can help out in the kitchen.
You want to spread. Now I should have mixed my butter in a little bit more. But you're spreading the icing all across the top. And then if you've any extra chocolates, I've just some chopped up mini eggs. Just going to sprinkle them on top.
And
you
have
could
it
use
here.
Chunks of Easter eggs you could sprinkle on the top, anything left
Your own,
over.
whatever your own decoration is.
Exactly,
so
some
40
sprinkles
minutes,
are really nice.
And then
40
that on top
minutes.
of it.
Yeah. And this makes 16 squares, so you get a lot out of it. So it makes 16 of those large squares.
Because you said that earlier when we saw all the butter and stuff, you said, well, it's a big cake.
It's a big cake. It does make a lot, so it's deceivingly big. So there's loads in it. And be really nice if you heated up the cake a little bit with a scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Let
gorgeous.
It melt.
And this would be gorgeous as a sauce, just poured over your ice cream as well.
Will you stop it, Kelly? Stop.
But that's it, really easy, really nice.
And this is all for me because Mirren can't have any.
Oh yeah, half chocolate.
Isn't that right, Mirren?
I can put it in a freezer. It'll be grand. You can have it on Sunday.
You could freeze it.
You could freeze it till when? Till next Sunday.
Till Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm good to go.
Good to go. There you go. Take a big batch home now and freeze it. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you so much. You're so welcome.
It's actually hard watching them.